Okay, hello again, Year 11s. What I wanted to do is just make another separate video. The other one was getting a little bit long. Just going through the 3 examples that I've left with you for sketching. So there's 3 that I want to go through. I will show you, I might mention briefly how you would do this by hand, but I'll also show you how we would do this using the calculator, because for a lot of you that is what you'll be using to assist you in graphing these graphs. Okay, so first of all, what I've done is for the 3 is I've just set up a set of axes. So just 2 perpendicular lines, and what you can also do is mark on those the y and the x axes. You do put a little arrow to indicate that the axis keeps going beyond what you have drawn. So something like that. With this first one, we'll see we've got y equals x plus 4. Now this is in the form y equals mx plus c. So we've got here gradient of 1. We'll talk about gradient more later, but gradient of 1, y-intercept of 4. When you are just graphing without a calculator, what I'd have to do is work out what the intercepts were to be able to graph this. The y-intercept is this number here, the constant, so that would be 4. Therefore, one of my coordinates, I know just from the equation itself, would be 0, 4. The other point, the x-intercept, so I'll just label that one, y-intercept. For the x-intercept, this always occurs where y is equal to 0. So if you have a look at the axis, where this axis is, the horizontal axis, what is the y value along there? The y value is 0. So therefore, if I put y equals 0 into this rule, 0 equals x plus 4, and I solve for x, I actually get the x-intercept. So here's my first intercept, the y, and here's my x-intercept here. That's how you would do it by hand. But if I was doing it using my calculator, I would simply, I'll just get rid of this graph from earlier. There we go. And if I type in this graph that I've just x plus 4, there it is there. I might zoom in just a little bit because it is a little bit small. There it is there. That's my graph. And all I had to do was type in the equation y equals x plus 4. Now to get my coordinates of the intercepts, there's my first one, the y-intercept. When you don't have a mouse on it, it does come up with the little label there, y-intercept, 0, 4. And down here, negative 4, 0. So I did it graphically just using algebra. I did it by hand using algebra. You can do it just using your calculator if you wish. So once you've got your 2 coordinates, this one here and that one down there, what we want to do is draw it on our axes. I was just sketching it, so what I'm going to do is, for this point here, 0, 4, I'm going to put a circle. It's a little bit large, but unfortunately my program doesn't like me drawing on top of the axes, as you can see. So I'll do it like that. Next, so I've marked them in. You can mark in using a scale, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. And I'm now going to connect them with a straight line. There it is there. And I will label this line y equals x plus 4. What I'll also do is label these 2 intercepts. So this one was 0, 4, and that one there is negative 4, 0. And that is my line sketched, completed. Okay, moving on to the next one. Here I have negative 3x take 2. Again, y-intercept is the easy one. It's this number here, which is negative 2. So y-intercept is 0, negative 2. Y-intercept always occurs where x is 0. Anywhere along this axis here, the x value is 0. Therefore, y-intercept, 0, negative 2. For the x-intercept, y is equal to 0. Therefore, 0 equals negative 3x take 2. Like I said, you don't have to do it this way, but some of you might like to. There we go. What I'm going to do now is show you how would I do this not algebraically. How would I do it just using my calculator? So this is my rule, negative 3x take 2. So I'm going to get rid of this one here. Delete that. If you press menu function, here we go. So negative 2x, oh no, hang on, make sure I type it in. It was negative 3x take 2. Negative 3x take 2, enter. And there's my line there. Okay, so to get my intercepts, menu, trace, graph trace. The y-intercepts come up automatically, 0, negative 2. And if I move across to this point here, you'll see it says negative 0.667. So you'll see it's rounded it to a decimal. It's 3 decimal places, whereas I found it before as a fraction. But these are the same numbers. The fraction form, the decimal form, it doesn't really matter, provided you round correctly. Okay, so I'll round this to negative 0.67, just to 2 decimal places. So if I put a little scale on here, negative 1, negative 2 is there. And if you have a look, you can use your calculator to help you out a little bit. But this is going up in halves. So it's got negative 0.5, then negative 1. So we can do the same with ours. Negative 0.5, negative 1. And this is negative 2 or 2/3. So it's actually in here. Oops. Oops, not going to like me very much. It's in there. Okay. Next step, we need to rule a straight line through these. There it is. We need to label it. So this line is y equals negative 3x take 2. And we need to label these points here. So that was negative 0.67, 0. And this one here was 0, negative 2. So I've taken these two values here. That one, which was that coordinate. This one here can be written as negative 0.67 rounded. Okay, so there's our graph. There's our 2 intercepts labelled with their coordinate. The graph itself is labelled as well. So that one is now completed. This last one that I wanted to do, you'll notice looks a little bit different. So here I have y minus 5x plus 2 equals 0. So this is not the same as these two here, which you'll see had y equals and y equals at the start. We always want it in that form y equals because if we're going to use our calculator to help us, that's what form it needs to be in. So for this one here, what I can do is simply rearrange it, which for some of you, you may not have a problem doing that, but for others, you might need to just make use of your calculator rather than make mistakes with the algebra. So what we're going to do is solve. So this was y minus 5x plus 2 equals 0, and we're solving for y. Press enter. You'll see y equals 5x, take 2, which is exactly what you get when you rearrange it using algebra. So y equals 5x, take 2. You can see the y-intercept is negative 2, so 0, negative 2, because it's the y value. The x value is 0. So negative 1, negative 2. There we go. And now we want to know what is the x-intercept. That occurs when y is 0. So if I was doing this by hand, two-fifths. Let's do it using the calculator instead. Okay, I'll get rid of that one there. Add a graph. So graph entry. That's number 1. And it was 5x, take 2. Enter. Okay, there it is there. Let's have a look at the coordinates menu, trace, graph trace. So 0, negative 2 is my y-intercept, and it's 0.4, 0, which is the same as 2 over 5. That's 2/5. So this is 2 over 5, 0, or 0.4, 0. Both of those are acceptable. So that's positive. It's just below a half. So if I do what I did earlier, there's a half, and there's 1, and I put it just below here. You can obviously be far more accurate with your pencil. It's very frustrating. There we go. Okay. So now we need a straight line that connects these two. Oh, that one's not very good. Try again. There we go. This is y equals 5x minus 2. This coordinate here, that's 0.4, 0, and this coordinate here is 0, negative 2. And now that one is completed. So make sure you are able to do this using your calculator if you're not confident doing it by hand, by substituting the x and the y into the rule. Yes, use your calculator. You are allowed to use it, but obviously if you are going to take that road, if you are going to use the calculator, make sure you are competent with it. So make sure you can type in the equation, make sure you can find the coordinates, make sure you can mark them clearly on a set of axes. Labeling is very important. Label the graph itself with its equation, label each intercept as well. So if you need to complete these examples on your page, just pause wherever on whatever example it is, and then you can make sure yours is completed.